A Tempest in a Teacup, the Togoland Campaign. In the grand tapestry of the First World War, a conflict that engulfed continents and shattered empires, the Togoland Campaign occupies a curious space. This brief skirmish, a tempest in a teacup compared to the brutal battles raging across Europe, nonetheless serves as a microcosm of the wider conflict, highlighting the far-reaching tendrils of the war and the complex web of alliances that drew even the most distant corners of the globe into the fiery crucible. Togoland, a German colony nestled along the coast of West Africa, found itself thrust onto the world stage as war erupted in Europe in 1914. While seemingly a remote outpost, far removed from the battlefields of France and Flanders, Togoland became a pawn in the grand strategic game unfolding across the globe. Britain and France, locked in a deadly struggle with Germany, saw the capture of Togoland as a potential blow to German prestige and a means to disrupt vital communication lines. The Allied forces assembled for the Togoland campaign were a motley crew. British troops from the Gold Coast colony, joined by contingents from Nigeria and French forces from Dahomey, converged on the German protectorate. Facing them was a vastly outnumbered German colonial force, a small contingent of Askaris, indigenous soldiers, and a handful of German officers. The campaign itself was a whirlwind affair, more akin to a game of cat and mouse than a full-scale military operation. The Allied forces, enjoying overwhelming numerical superiority, advanced cautiously through the dense bushland, their progress hampered by poor infrastructure and a lack of reliable communication. The Germans, aware of their predicament, opted for a strategy of delaying tactics, harassing the Allied advance and inflicting sporadic casualties. Despite the tactical challenges, the outcome of the campaign was never truly in doubt. The fall of the key town of Lomé in August 1914 effectively sealed the fate of German Togoland. Governor Hans-Georg von Düring, facing a hopeless situation, opted to surrender, bringing the brief campaign to a swift conclusion. The Togoland campaign, though a minor footnote in the grand narrative of the First World War, holds significance beyond its immediate outcome. It highlights the global reach of the conflict, how the tentacles of war stretched across continents, drawing even the most peripheral territories into the maelstrom. The campaign also underscores the importance of colonial holdings in the early 20th century, seen as strategic assets and potential bargaining chips in the larger geopolitical game. The legacy of the Togoland campaign is a complex one. For the victors, it served as a quick and relatively bloodless victory, a morale booster at the outset of a long and brutal war. For the Germans, it was a humiliating loss, a stark reminder of their vulnerability in the face of a united Allied front. However, the true human cost of the campaign fell on the shoulders of the Askaris, caught in the crossfire of a conflict far removed from their homeland. The Togoland campaign, a tempestuous skirmish in the grand scheme of the First World War, serves as a microcosm of the wider conflict. It reminds us of the interconnectedness of the world in the early 20th century, the ripple effects of European power struggles, and the devastating human cost, even in the most seemingly insignificant corners of the globe. Though brief and seemingly inconsequential, the Togoland campaign stands as a testament to the far-reaching consequences of war, a cautionary tale for generations to come. A titanic struggle, the Battle of Tannenberg and the Eastern Front. In late August 1914, a pivotal clash unfolded on the vast plains of East Prussia, the Battle of Tannenberg. This titanic struggle, a tempestuous dance between the colossal Russian war machine and the cunning German forces, stands as a turning point in the war on the Eastern Front, shattering the myth of Russian invincibility and redefining the strategic landscape. The stage for this epic confrontation was set in the heart of East Prussia, a strategically significant territory jutting into the heart of Russia. The Russians, fueled by dreams of territorial expansion and a desire to cripple Germany's eastern flank, launched a massive offensive with over 200,000 troops. Facing them stood the outnumbered German Eighth Army, led by the cunning General Paul von Hindenburg and his brilliant Chief of Staff, Erich Ludendorff. The initial Russian advance was a juggernaut, overwhelming German defenses and threatening to overrun East Prussia. Panic gripped Berlin, and calls for a full retreat echoed through the German high command. However, Hindenburg and Ludendorff, in a daring gamble, devised a brilliant counteroffensive plan. Their strategy hinged on exploiting intercepted Russian communications and the slow pace of the Tsarist army. German forces were rapidly mobilized and transported by a newly established network of railways, allowing them to concentrate their forces at decisive points. The ensuing battle unfolded in a whirlwind of maneuvers, a deadly ballet of millions locked in mortal combat. The Battle of Tannenberg, fought over several days in late August 1914, was a brutal affair. Artillery pounded the battlefield, reducing once proud forests to smoldering ruins. Cavalry charges, a relic of a bygone era, clashed with the withering fire of machine guns. The vastness of the battlefield itself became a challenge, with commanders struggling to maintain communication and coordinate attacks. Despite the desperate fighting, the tide of battle gradually turned in favor of the Germans. The Russians, plagued by poor communication and a lack of centralized command, were outmaneuvered and encircled. The Second Russian Army suffered devastating losses, with tens of thousands of soldiers killed, wounded, or captured. The Battle of Tannenberg, a resounding victory for Germany, had a profound impact on the course of the First World War. The myth of Russian invincibility was shattered, and the Eastern Front became a focal point of the war for years to come. The battle also solidified the reputations of Hindenburg and Ludendorff, turning them into national heroes and paving the way for their increased influence in German war strategy. The legacy of the Battle of Tannenberg is a complex one. It stands as a testament to the importance of leadership, intelligence gathering, and strategic planning in the face of overwhelming odds. However, it also highlights the devastating cost of human life in the pursuit of national glory. The verdant plains of East Prussia became a graveyard for thousands of soldiers, a stark reminder of the horrors unleashed by war. The Battle of Tannenberg, a pivotal clash in the grand tapestry of the First World War, serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us of the fragility of empires, the devastating consequences of military ambition, and the enduring cost of a world engulfed in flames. Its echoes continue to resonate throughout history, a testament to the enduring power of strategy and the tragic toll of human conflict. A bulwark breached, the Siege of Tsingtao and the struggle for colonial dominance. In the fiery cauldron of the First World War, a lesser-known conflict unfolded on the shores of East Asia. The Siege of Tsingtao. This clash, a microcosm of the wider struggle for global dominance, pitted the fledgling German Empire against the combined might of Japan and Great Britain. Though a seemingly isolated event, the Siege of Tsingtao serves as a potent symbol of the far-reaching consequences of European imperialism and the ruthless calculus of war. The stage for this confrontation was the German Protectorate of Tsingtao, a fortified port city nestled on the coast of China. Germany, a latecomer to the colonial game, had carved out a foothold in China in the late 19th century, viewing Tsingtao as a strategic asset and a symbol of their growing power. However, the outbreak of war in Europe in 1914 placed Tsingtao in a precarious position, surrounded by hostile powers. Japan, a rising power in Asia with its own imperial ambitions, saw an opportunity to exploit the situation. Fueled by a desire to expand its influence and seize German holdings in the Pacific, Japan presented Germany with an ultimatum: surrender Tsingtao or face military action. Germany, determined to hold on to their hard-won colonial possession, defiantly refused. In late August 1914, Japanese troops, backed by a powerful naval contingent, laid siege to Tsingtao. The German defenders, vastly outnumbered but resolute, transformed the city into a formidable fortress. A fierce artillery duel commenced, reducing swathes of the city to rubble. German soldiers, bolstered by a contingent of Austrian Marines, fought valiantly, inflicting significant casualties on the attackers. The siege of Tsingtao unfolded in a tempestuous dance of defiance and attrition. The Japanese, frustrated by the tenacity of the German defense, resorted to increasingly brutal tactics. Civilian casualties mounted, and the once thriving port city became a battleground shrouded in smoke and despair. Despite the heroic resistance, the outcome of the siege was never truly in doubt. German supplies dwindled, and ammunition stocks ran low. With no hope of reinforcements, the German commander was forced to surrender the city in November 1914. The fall of Tsingtao marked a symbolic victory for Japan, a burgeoning power flexing its muscles on the world stage. The legacy of the siege of Tsingtao is a complex one. It stands as a stark reminder of the brutality of colonial warfare, where human lives were sacrificed for imperial gain. The siege also highlighted the shifting power dynamics in Asia, with Japan emerging as a major player and Germany's colonial ambitions facing a harsh reality check. For the citizens of Tsingtao, the siege was a devastating experience. Their once peaceful city lay in ruins, their lives forever altered by the storm of war. The siege serves as a cautionary tale of the collateral damage inflicted by imperial rivalries, a reminder that the pursuit of power often comes at a heavy human cost. The echoes of the siege of Tsingtao continue to resonate in the annals of history. It stands as a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds, the ruthless realities of colonial conquest, and the complex power struggles that shaped the 20th century. A turning of the tide, the Great Retreat. In late August 1914, a dramatic reversal of fortunes unfolded on the Western Front. The Great Retreat. This harrowing odyssey, a desperate scramble for survival in the face of a relentless German offensive, stands as a testament to the resilience of the British and French armies and the brutal realities of trench warfare. The stage for this exodus was set in the aftermath of a series of bloody battles. The initial Allied offensive, launched with optimism and a belief in a swift victory, had been blunted by the German war machine. Cities like Mons and Charleroi became testaments to the devastating firepower unleashed on both sides. The Schlieffen Plan, however, Germany's daring gamble for a quick victory on the Western Front, began to falter. By early September 1914, the German juggernaut, facing logistical challenges and mounting casualties, shifted tactics. They launched a flanking maneuver, aiming to encircle the Allied armies and deliver a decisive blow. This unexpected thrust threw the Allied war plans into disarray. French and British forces, caught off guard and outnumbered, were forced to fight a desperate rearguard action. The Great Retreat was a harrowing ordeal, a tempestuous tide of humanity flooding westward. Soldiers, weary from weeks of relentless combat and facing dwindling supplies, trudged across war-ravaged landscapes. The roads were choked with a desperate throng of soldiers, civilians fleeing the war zone, and a chaotic mix of military equipment. German aircraft strafed the retreating columns, inflicting additional casualties and sowing panic. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Allied armies persevered, driven by a resolute determination to avoid annihilation. Acts of heroism punctuated the bleak landscape, with rearguard units holding off the enemy long enough for the main force to escape. Logistical feats were accomplished under duress, with supplies and reinforcements being rushed to the front lines in a desperate bid to stem the tide. The grueling journey westward took its toll. Tens of thousands of soldiers perished from exhaustion, exposure, and German attacks. French civilians, caught in the crossfire, endured the horrors of war firsthand. Their homes destroyed, their livelihoods shattered. By the time the Allies reached the relative safety of the Marne River in early September, they were a battered but unbroken force. The Great Retreat, though a military setback, served as a pivotal moment in the war. It exposed the limitations of pre-war offensive strategies and underscored the brutal realities of trench warfare. However, it also highlighted the resilience of the Allied armies and their unwavering commitment to defeating Germany. It stands as a stark reminder of the devastating cost of war, The human toll exacted on both soldiers and civilians caught in the maelstrom. The retreat also marked a turning point in the war, paving the way for a prolonged stalemate on the Western Front. The echoes of this desperate exodus continue to resonate in history, a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds and a somber reminder of the enduring cost of global conflict. In the next chapter, we will cover the First Battle of the Marne, the most important battle of the war, as well as the Austro-Hungarian invasion of Serbia.